So we now have our quorum. We do have Stowe TV, and they've asked us to record, and I am going to start the recording, and then we will start the meeting. So, so this is our October 28th meeting of the Lake Boon Commission, and as you would have just noticed, we are recording this session, and we'll make that available to Stowe TV and the YouTube site. So our agenda for today, let me run through that quickly, and then we'll jump in. So we will have time right at the beginning for public comment. We will be reviewing and approving a number of minutes from past meetings. We will address bills for payment. We will have some discussion and just kind of check in on our 2020 drawdown activities and status there. We'll have a bit of a status, just a discussion amongst us around where we are right now with the new drawdown order of conditions that we're in the process of working on with both Hudson and Stowe Concoms. We do have some discussions and a decision to make around the boat and maintenance and winterizing in that space. We will discuss some, and that will actually have a little bit of a connection to a discussion around budget, and give a quick, Dan will give a quick update on our MVP and activities that are starting to ramp up there. And we will have old business, new business, set a date for our next meeting and adjourn. So that is our agenda for today. So let's start out public comment. So do we have anyone on that has public comment this evening, wanting to address something that you would like for us to consider for a future meeting, or questions in that space?
Well, just to take up a moment, and I think Dave might have noticed this, the 2 books on Hudson are out and available, and I had wished that the Lake Boon book, which I'm working on assiduously, is in process, let me put it that way. So in the next few months, Lou and I should have something for you to report to you guys.
Cool. Excellent.
Thanks for doing that. Those are, and all these resources around our town, our lake, both towns are such wonderful treasures. Thank you.
Yeah,
There's a lot. You're welcome.
all right.
Okay.
All right. Any other, yes, go ahead, Dave.
One more. While we're talking about publications, Karen, my wife, came up with the neat idea that we should have a Lake Boon calendar for 2021. So I'm putting together pictures that a few people have taken around the lake that look kind of neat. And we thought the LBA could sell this as a fundraiser to help support the MVP and the Halleck Point acquisition, the Healthy Lake Boon initiative. Not that we're going to raise big bucks from this, but it would help raise awareness and maybe build some enthusiasm for contributing on a higher scale.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So we're going to proceed with that. And if we had more time, we're getting really close to the end of calendar availability. Possibly for the next year, we might want to run a photo contest and have people around the lake enter their photos into a contest. But this year, I'm just kind of getting a few people around here that I know have good pictures to put them together. So that's going on here.
Excellent.
By when do you need the photos, Dave?
Oh, I wanted to ask you, can we use your rainbow at least?
Oh, absolutely, and I have a few others I'd happy to share.
Yeah, in the next couple of days, if you can send them, I'd appreciate it. I'd like to get it out the first week in November to get it into the process to forward.
Sure.
So we'll probably sell them for $20 each, and we can make almost a 50% profit depending on how many we purchase. The other thing I should comment is I'm going to have to leave just before 7:30. I have another meeting I have to get to. So I think you have the drawdown information, right, Dan?
I do, but if with the permission of the chair, maybe you might just comment now, Dave. Is that okay, Chris, before he has to leave?
Sure. So why don't we'll move that one up. We'll just move that one up. So so are we finished with public comment? Do we have any other public comment? No. Okay. So we will go a little bit out of order and skip down to the drawdown activities.
Okay, yeah, it appears the highway department took the first board out. They took a 7-inch board out and replaced it with a 3.5-inch board on October 19th. And I went back that evening and it had already dropped 0.03 of a foot, kind of 0.3 of an inch, pretty close there. So we were on our way down, and then they should have taken another board out probably this Monday, and I don't believe they got to it even today.
Yeah, I talked to them today. I said they really need to take that other board out. It was their idea to put in the half board. I'm not sure it's the right idea. They thought that helps, make it go gradually. And maybe in the future we should weigh in on that. I know Teresa Riordan had commented about that concern.
Yeah.
But in any case, I talked to him today, especially with all the rain. We really need to withdraw it. As of noon, they hadn't, but they may have this afternoon. But I did talk to the town and said they really need to do that.
Yeah, I think if they move it down 3.5 inches every week consistently, I think that would work beautifully to do it very gradually. So we'll see what they can come up with. Oh, the other thing I should mention is that I did collect the total phosphorus and turbidity samples and got them to the laboratory. In fact, the results just came back this morning too. So we have those results.
Excellent.
You might want to go with full boards because it's getting cold. And, based on, Teresa said it well in her little note, but, there are critters that won't migrate until the water does. So I don't think we need to do a gradual drop at this point. It's going to be 22 degrees tomorrow morning. Friday morning.
Well, nothing's going to freeze in the water that fast, but
You're right.
They've got to get the next board out, no question.
Okay. So Dan, can you just check in maybe tomorrow with the highway department and confirm whether they did or they didn't?
Yeah, and let me just confirm, is there a consensus that we should have them remove not just the next 3.5 inch, but the entire thing? I know, from what I follow, we need to do it gradually enough to give time for migration, but not so slow that, water freeze or whatever. So I know that Teresa weighed in on this. I'm wondering, Dave, your thoughts on pace?
Well, as soon as you drop it down another 3.5 inches, the water just pours out of there. So it will go down. And then as it starts to approach that, then it slows down. So that's why they've got to take it out every week. You can't delay it. Mm-hmm. But I'd suggest just continuing with that 3.5 inches each week and, move it up now so that.
In years past, we didn't have 3.5 inch boards. We only had the 6-inch ones. So in many years past, we just pulled out 1 6-inch, waited till it got down, then the next one, then the next one. So that's the way it's been done many times in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put in, we hadn't asked for it. They just of their own volition. And I spoke to them today about this. They cut a board to do it more gradually, or to, just to be able to pace it. But I'm not sure that's the best idea, but that's what they did.
Well, Kathy may have suggested that because that's the concern of the Conservation Commission.
Yeah,
to make sure
that's obviously that's one of the recommendations even we got from the state is doing it gradually, but obviously getting it done in our window. So I think, Dan, if the highway department can commit to they're going to do it on a weekly basis,
yep,
then I think we're okay with. I'd be okay with the doing the half board each week. But if they're not sure and it's it's a problem logistically for them or whatever, then maybe what we have them do is take out take out a full board.
Yep.
And they could put back in, I don't know, can they put back in a half a board?
I don't think we want them, I don't think they need to put one back in again. I mean,
Well, I'm not sure we want to go, if we took out the half board and a full board, that's a lot of water rushing at once. And I'm not sure we want to necessarily do that because that's not gradual.
Mhm.
So I would say we either are just taking out the half board or we're taking out half board, full board and putting back in half board. So we've really taken it down a full board at that point.
So it takes the 4 weeks to do.
Yeah,
That's what we're trying to achieve.
yes,
That makes
without doing it too fast.
All right. Thank
Great.
you.
All right. All right, was there anything else on our drawdown at this point? We'll talk later about the order of conditions stuff. So anything else just on the drawdown? No, okay. Thank you, David. Thank you, Dan, for kind of continuing to make this happen and following up. So appreciate it. All right, so now let's skip back up. We want to go through our meeting minutes. So Dan, we have 3 sets of minutes. We have, let's see, we have August 19th, August 27th, and the October 7th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I provided my feedback via email on the 19th, and
Which I have then, thank you very much. Good attention to detail there. I really appreciate it. And I've now edited those and sent them back to you this evening.
Yeah.
Or this afternoon.
so I'm okay with the edits as I propose those.
I am too.
Okay,
So
have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept all 3 of them as submitted and amended.
Well, let's just make sure that that's the case. So all right, so well, let me say, any further discussion, and then I will say, yes, I do have further discussion. So that would be, so right now I'm comfortable with the 19th. So the August 27th, I had no edits at all. Conway, Dan, you are
I'm good.
no edits on those, okay? And then the October 7th, I had some edits, and Dan,
And I already incorporated those.
okay, so you had no further edits on that, Conway?7
I did not.
Okay, now let's go back to your motion.
Okay, my motion is to accept all 3 sets of minutes, the 10/7, 8/19, and whatever the other one is, all 3 of them,
8/27.
as submitted and amended. So the motion is to accept those as amended.
I second.
For them.
All right, any further discussion? No? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Excellent. Motion passed. So, let's see. Notes on that? Okay. All righty. Bills. So I have one bill. No, I have 2 bills. 2 Zoom bills for payment. So they are each $14.99, $14.99 a month, for a total of $29.98.
So I'll make a motion that we can approve the 2 bills submitted by Chris for the Zoom meetings. And I forget the dollar numbers already, but
$29.98 total.
Yeah.
for $29.98.
I second.
Any further discussion on that? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And that motion passed. Anyone else have bills for payment?
Yeah, I have one from Rhode Island Analytical. In fact, that came in today for the measurements that they just did. Thank you very much, Dave. Total of $52.
$2.
I would,
Oh, by the way, the one for you, Chris, is a reimbursement to you. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
And the Rhode Island Analytical would be a direct payment.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the payment of $52 for Rhode Island Analytical.
Second?
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and motion passed.
And Chris, just remind me of the logistics of this.
Yes.
Are
So
you
if-
now able to just sign these?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you will
I forwarded it.
scan yours, your.
Actually, you already have. I did forward an email copy of it to you.
Okay, great. Then I will use that. So what I do is I sign on behalf of the Lake Boon Commission. We've already we've done that with with the town, so they're fine with that, and
Okay.
we will go from there. Okay.
So Chris, on that same subject, since we just approved those bills, will we get a copy of the minutes that are noted that they've been approved? Because in order for me,
At our next meeting, yes.
okay, because in order for me to get Hudson to pay the Solitude bill, I either have to have an approved copy of the minutes, or I've got to get all 3 signatures.
So
So
why don't I use
let's
that as
come
the-
back to that for a second. So we all set on new bills, right?
Yep.
Okay. So tell me the Solitude bill that you have. So are you certain, or do you want me to check with Hudson Town Management that they won't just accept the same as Stowe? Is I signed the bill on behalf, and we have minutes that show the LBC.
Do I have a copy of the signed bill?
What's that?
I don't have a copy of the signed.
I can get you a copy of the signed bill.
Give me a copy of the signed bill by you. I'll have to sign it too, because it's Hudson.
Yep.
And that'll probably work.
Okay, I will get that over to you probably tonight.
Excellent. Then I can print it and submit it tomorrow.
Okay. And this is one we have already, as an LBC, agreed to, so we don't have to approve the bill. We just have to get that piece of it submitted to Hudson.
Correct.
Excellent. Okay.
And that's kind of my bad, because I should have been following up on that. But it's COVID. Yeah, life is at the town hall. I don't know about how Stowe is, but you can't even go in Hudson Town Hall.
No, nope, same thing. Unless you have an appointment with someone. So, yes. Okay, so excellent. I have the action then, kind of ready to get you a copy of that signed bill.
Excellent. Thank you.
And that's already been received and I think already processed on the Stowe side for
Good.
the 2/3.
We got an update from I'll see if I can find it and talk to you in a second.
I'm sorry, an update on what?
Solitude just sent us an updated invoice. Well, I don't see it in my email though. So
Don't worry about it. Send that along tomorrow, whatever. I think we're where they would probably not have yet received payment for that last bill.
By the way, Conrad, your audio is coming through better. I don't know what you did, but we can hear you clearly.
well, I'm a man of many computers. I switched computer.
There you go.
So I'm on a newer Lenovo laptop rather than my old Lenovo desktop.
There you go.
Good. Okay, so moving on to our drawdown new order of conditions area. So Dan, just maybe a quick update on where we stand with the two Concoms on that one.
Completed our public discussions in both Stowe and Hudson. And Kathy Sfera and Pam Helenek have now consolidated into a single order of conditions, which reflects the decisions that we did over all these meetings.
Yep.
Notably, after the last meeting, we agreed on the drawdown will take place between the 15th and the 30th of October with 3 weeks of notification. So everybody has advance notice. And nominally, we're saying, October 21st is kind of in the middle of that. That's probably the most likely date. But they have now agreed on that, and every other condition is the same between the two towns. We will meet again. I don't know the dates of the next meetings in each town to give final approval. They need to make sure they satisfy the state and so on. But we're at last on agreement on a single plan.
Okay. And so we don't know yet what our dates are for those two commission meetings,
Let's see.
Concom meetings.
The Hudson is November 5th, and I'm afraid I don't have the Stowe date in my
Okay,
calendar here.
okay. All right. Okay, excellent. This has been a lot of work to get this, but it is going to put us in a good place in the sense that we're no longer doing superseding, and we
Yep.
have kind of local ownership with our Concoms of this going forward. So
Right, and the work we did this time is way less than the work that Conray and everybody else did last time around.
yes, exactly.
So let's just sort of declare victory there.
You mean no lawsuits and no,
Don't even say that.
No.
Don't jinx us here.
thank
All
you.
right. All right. Anything else on that one? Are you all set with that agenda item?
No action required.
Okay. So the next one was around the boat maintenance and winterizing. And so we wanted to talk a little bit. So Conrad, you reported in our last meeting that there was some mechanical issues with the LBC boat. And it sounds like you've kind of done your best to kind of assess what that might be, but it's not something you feel like you can resolve yourself.
Well said. So the problem actually showed up in late August or middle of August, and the engine would all of a sudden quit on us, which is not good when you're out in the lake. And we were able to hand pump the gas, and it would run for a while. It's now only runs if you hand pump the gas. So I checked the filter. The filter is good, which means it's something in the fuel injection system somewhere. There might be another filter in there. There might be a fuel pump problem, but really beyond me. So we really need to take it to either Cabela's or Mobile Marine, one of the two.
Okay, and if I remember correctly, you were concerned that Cabela's might not service an engine that old?
That's what I've been told. I will call them and double check since they've serviced that one before. But see, Cabela's is no longer Cabela's. Cabela's got bought by Bass Pro. And when Bass Pro bought them, they brought in a whole new set of rules in service. So I'll check on that. If they don't want to service it, then we got to take it over to JP.
Okay.
Over in Acton.
So I think here's where we need to just talk through. So I don't think we can sort of carte blanche say whatever it is, whatever it costs, we'll fix it. Because we do have to be aware of what we have as far as budget. And obviously we also don't want to have to take it in, get it assessed, and then have it sit there and wait until we can have a meeting to have a discussion about, are we going to accept that that type of cost. So what I was thinking, and see what you guys think, Conrad and Dan, is maybe we kind of set a limit for if it's under this amount, and if they do look at it and they say this is what it's going to do and this is what it's going to cost, and it's under some amount we agreed to today, then it just gets fixed at that point in time.
That's a good procedure, but we really need to go to the next item, because remember when we did budgets, we put $1,000 in the budget for the boat.
Yep.
Because I was worried about it.
Yep.
So, but what I'm feeling, I don't know if it's true or not, but the trouble is we've got all these expenses around the NOI, and we didn't budget for that. Is that a true statement?
That is correct. We didn't uniquely budget for costs for that certified mailing element. So we did not know about that piece, and that was a big chunk. So we definitely, we originally budgeted, so our operating budget for this year included $1,100 for boat maintenance for the year. And then we had we allocated some money for water testing at $1,200 because we were not sure if we were going to have to do a lot more testing, with the algae problem the year before. We just really weren't sure what position we would be in, so we did budget for that. And I would say that it seems, at the moment, I think it's unlikely we're going to have a massive cost in that space, especially with MVP, because if we're going to do a lot of testing on the lake, it's probably most of it will go in under that grant area. So we do have money there, and then we have money set aside for sort of the buoys and chains and that sort of other stuff, non-boat stuff. Of $500, and then our general supplies, which included boat gas, for $200. So our total budget was $3,000. Where we stand right now, not including expenses we approved today, is in our operating budget. So this is unrelated to our weed treatment budget area. So we have basically $2,140 basically. So I think we can decide what we, and I don't know, Conrad, like let's say it was, or if there's any other boaters, active boaters who might have input on this, if it was that, it needed a new fuel pump or something more than just a filter and a tune-up kind of a thing. Do you have any sense for what might be the outer edge of that cost?
$500 to $800.
Okay.
Depending on what's broken. It could be, there is another fuel filter inside the fuel pump.
Uh-huh.
If all they got to do is take it apart and fix that, then it's not going to be a lot of money. But
right.
What I'd like to do is take it up to Cabela's and say, check it out, winterize it, and give it back to me. Because there's a couple other things that should be done to it, minor stuff, but they know how to do it. So,
right, so you mean you would like to take it there, get it fixed?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I figured. Okay, so again, this is sort of my sense. If we kind of decide on an upper edge that we feel like we're safe with, then I would say we pre-approve that maximum right now. And if Conrad takes it and finds out it's whatever, it's some number of hundreds of dollars above what we thought, then we would not get it repaired until we had a chance, to have the three of us convene and talk through that.
So I just, let's use that $800 number then. Let's pre-approve $800 to repair the motor. Not the boat, but the motor.
The motor. Dan, how do you feel about that as a number?
That's fine with me. You have the expertise, I don't.
Yeah.
So, if I can't get it, I want to go to Cabela's. Has an excellent mechanic by the name of Chris, and he's done all the work on this engine before. So I kind of like to take it back to Chris if I can.
Yeah.
So that'll be choice one. Choice two would be JP. Actually, there's a third choice in there. Chris also runs a side repair business, which I use all the time. But I'll call Cabela's tomorrow and find out what's going on, and I'll shoot you guys a note and let you know what happened, what I find out.
Okay. So could I have a motion to
I move that we approve a maximum of $800 for repair of the boat motor.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No, I got further discussion, but not on the motion.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passed unanimously. And I just want to reiterate, so we've approved a max of $800. If it is going to be over that, then we need to, as a commission, meet and discuss what to do.
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
So with that same discussion, since we're still on boat maintenance and winterizing,
Yep.
Longer term, we might want to think about replacing that motor.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it runs great when it runs, but you know, it is 16 years old now. And, you know, it tends to be for a lot of the year, the primary patrol boat. Because the Stowe police boat is also old and also breaks. So I would say over half the time they end up using our boat rather than their boat. So just, you know, I don't know how we do that for sure, but.
So I think, so we have talked a little bit about that previously, and I'm just, we are going to have to, looking at my calendar here.
It's a capital expenditure.
Yep, but we have to do our budget for next year, next fiscal year. I think we'll have to submit it in December. So I think in November, so next month, we're going to have to start our discussions and come up with whatever we think is going to be our requests to Stowe and Hudson for an operating budget, and actually the warrant budgets for the next fiscal year.
Now we actually did that once in the past, and we had submitted a warrant, I think, for $13,000 for a good engine, and everybody was in favor except for Don, and Don shot it down at town meeting. So we did try that once before, but I think it went right through until Don got up and shot it down. So I don't think the towns are going to give us a big issue on it. It's just a matter, we got to do the right paperwork.
Yeah. So maybe if we can do two things. One, I know that in Hudson, Tom definitely wants to be, your town administrator, wants to be kind of included in, you know, our as we get to producing our budget for the next year. You want some input. So maybe if you can start a little bit of a discussion with him and around, you know, what, if any, you know, hoops we might have to go through if we were looking to you know, increase it significantly for capital for this purpose. And I can start that discussion on the Stowe side.
Okay.
And the next month, come up with our budget.
I'll send Tom an email, but you know, Tom's leaving.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I haven't seen that officially in writing yet, but the town of Hudson started a search committee to find a new town administrator. So that kind of says that he's leaving.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll send him a note.
Yeah.
Again, just kind of FYI, the motor that's on the boat right now, when we bought that motor, we did that as a separate emergency purchase because the old motor died and we had no motor, and we put through an emergency request in the two towns and got it approved.
Okay.
I'd prefer not to do that again.
Yeah. Well, we shouldn't have to, if we're highly confident, which I don't know how we become highly confident, but if we are highly confident that motor is not going to make it through next year, so maybe that's one of the things when you talk, you know, we're investing money in it this year in preparation for next season. I would hope we're not just, you know, investing money and then thinking we're going to buy a new motor in the spring.
How much would a new motor cost?
10 to 13. Depends what we get for a motor. And I haven't priced it recently, but that boat should have a 90 on it. There's a 60 on it now. And I believe the 90s were around 13,000, which is what we did, what we submitted for last time. I think the trouble with that motor and being that old is you don't know. You know, we can get it running. Let's just say it's a fuel pump. We put a fuel pump in it, it runs great. The engine runs good right now, but we've already replaced quite a few parts in that over the years. We've replaced, it's a 4-cylinder engine, and it has, it's all electronic. So each cylinder has a power pack that fires that cylinder. We replaced at least 2 of those already, maybe 4 of them. I can't remember if we but that was a pretty expensive repair, and we did that. But if I get it up to Cabela's, I'll do two things. I'll have them, assess this motor, and they won't guarantee anything because
No.
something else can
No,
break.
obviously they can't guarantee it, but
But at least give a good read of where it looks like it might be.
Yeah. And that's why I'd like to work with Chris. And the other thing we could probably get from Cabela's is, hey, what's the cost of replacement?
right,
So, because they, and do you have any deals for towns?
right.
So we could get Mr. Gelpy to go up and get him to give us a motor.
Oh, sure. I got my 15 that I'll loan you.
Okay, so I think we're okay. Then we've approved the pre-approved up to $800 for repair. We have a couple of action items just to start preparing for budgeting for next year in the event that we do need to replace the motor. So
I'd like to change that a little bit, Chris. I think that we have to do is start the process to replace it no matter what. It's going on 16, next year will be 17 years old. Since it's basically a public safety machine, right? And it gets used a lot by the police, it should be reliable. So, putting a new motor on it every 15 years is not a crazy request.
yep. And was that a new motor, Conrad?
No.
What's that?
So I bought this new motor. I bought this motor new for the previous patrol boat, the one that got destroyed in one of the snowstorms. It collapsed the shelter it was stored in, and it was an aluminum boat, and it kind of looked like a pretzel afterwards. So I salvaged as much as I could off the boat, put all that stuff on this boat, including the motor. So the motors we bought new back in 04, but it was on a different boat.
Got it.
This boat, when I acquired this boat, it had a 90 horse on it that it was seized up, and it should have had a 90 on it. It's the right motor, it's the right pairing for this particular boat. The 60 gets us around, but it doesn't get up and go. Not that people can run a long ways on Lake Boon, but.
I'm going to say, I don't think we really necessarily need a boat that can chase.
Yeah.
We certainly don't need one that can, pull water skiers or any of that. Okay. All right, are we all set then on this one, on the boat maintenance and winterizing?
I am.
All right, excellent. Okay, and then that kind of closes out, I think, also our budget discussion.
So on the budget though,
yes.
So where are the money that we spent for NOI, we didn't budget. So where's it coming from?
So I think some of it is going to be coming from the, I can go back to my list here. I think some of it we'll be able to take from what we allocated for water testing, and that's a somewhat natural fit in the sense that this is all to do with drawdown and kind of the water conditioning. So I suspect we'll be able to pull some out of that, and we do have money still in our kind of other supplies.
Okay, let me ask a different question, Chris. The town of Hudson cares not what we spend it on as long as we approve it. All they care about is the total number.
Correct.
The town of Stowe used to make us allocate the things ahead of time, and we couldn't move expenses between allocations.
I will check on that. It's a good question, Connie. I have not asked that. So I will check in and find out if that's the case. My understanding is
I would hope they would give us flexibility because you
I
can't know details to the penny.
No.
I agree, but that's not the way it used to work. I agree with you 100%.
Well, so let's not.
So I'll have the action item to follow up with Stowe on that one.
Just label that under, I don't want a surprise from Stowe that says, oh, wait a minute, you can't move that money around.
Yeah.
I think we can call that Chris's powers of persuasion.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem, but I will check that out.
I guess I got burned in that many years ago and it still hurts.
Yeah. I mean, they put it all in one bucket as far as they're concerned. They don't put them in separate buckets. We have our warrant number, that's in one bucket, and we have all of our operating
Should be
money
fine.
in the other. And so they just,
Should be
they
fine.
just ask me when I'm putting in the request, which account, so.
Excellent.
Okay, good question though. All righty, so we're done with our budget. All right. MVP, Dan.
Yeah, so we now have the official contract signed by both the state and the town of Stowe to now officially launch the grant. I have gone through, I met with the town administrator in Stowe, and I also have had a serious conversation with Kathy. We do have some specific tasks we need to put into place, and I sent out later this afternoon a task list that I culled from the actual proposal. You may recall that after the state said they want to fund this, they asked us to move a few things around in terms of when we do them, when we report. So based on that final timeline, we do have a few specific tasks. We need to establish a steering committee. We've already named the people who are on it, but we need to convene that. We need to implement our contract with the Lake Boon Association, because you may recall that LBA has responsibility for managing the citizen science program. Now, the measurements will all start in the spring, so we have some time to do this. But these are the things we want to get done by the end of December for the contract. We also need to get the hydrology company on board. That means we need to post an RFP. And I spoke with Kathy Sfera yesterday and today about that. She's pulling together a draft RFP that we will submit to a variety of people. We'll see who responds. We'll have a review criteria based on expertise, experience, capacity, and budget, and so on. We also need to have some initial public meetings. One of them is this one at LBC. There's a public meeting. We're going to meet with the Stowe Conservation Commission, Hudson Conservation Commission, plus public meetings for Lake Boon residents to make sure everybody's aware of what this is all about. So all of those are, for the most part, there are things we want to begin right away, but let's say during November, we do most of those. It will, however, probably take until the mid to end of December to have the contract for the hydrology company in place, but we don't want to post that right away. And there are a few other implementation details I don't need to get into, but let me just pause there, see if there are any questions or comments.
Well, so, and I saw that you sent something. I haven't had a chance to take a look at that. So of these things that have to get done in the next, let's say 30 to 45 days, do these all fall to us as the responsible parties?
Right. So I discussed this with Kathy, and I think you may recall some earlier discussion we had that we don't want Lake Boon Commission to be the operational decision-making authority.
Right.
We don't have the time to do it, and we really want to defer to other organizations. That's why we have Stowe's the fiscal agent.
Yes.
And the LBA is the operational agent, and this hydrology company is going to be doing the logistics of the work. However, LBC is the recipient.
Right.
So what we decided to do was to have me be the representative of LBC on the steering committee, but
Yep.
neither of you will be, so we don't run into a problem of the public meeting laws and the LBC.
Yep.
So I would like to have the LBC tonight say, authorize me to proceed as detailed in the proposal that you had already reviewed, that the state has approved, to implement the details and to keep the LBC appraised, engage the LBC in anything that truly is a decision that we need to make, but that we're trying to sort of offload this from our agenda onto it. It's a separate project that I'm our representative to, but it proceeds along the lines I discussed.
So I believe that in a previous meeting, we already had agreed that you would be in that role.
I think you're right, Chris.
And so I feel like we've covered that, and we don't have, posted on this agenda any kind of decisions related to the MVP.
So we've already approved it. So
Yeah.
now I'm just letting you and keep you informed, and you're saying, okay, you see no problem with that, so I can go ahead and proceed.
Correct. Yep, I have no issue with that. I think that's something we discussed in a previous meeting, so I'm good with that. I just am wondering, so I'll leave it. Conway, you're good with that also, I assume?
Yes, I am.
So the thing that I'm wondering is it then the steering committee that is going to be dealing with, for example, setting up public meetings and all of that stuff, or is that some of that going to fall to us as the applicant?
Well, what I'd like to do, and what we defined in the grant, is actually to have an operational group. This would be presumably Dave Seversky as president of LBA, myself as with LBC, and Kathy and Pam, I think, are the nominal operational people who have responsibility for moving forward with things. The steering committee meets quarterly. We don't want them to be involved in every decision. So this operational group would say, oh yeah, you know what, we need to have a way for the citizen scientists to record their hours worked, and here's a plan to do it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's actually the way we mapped it out in the proposal per se.
Excellent. So is there anything that we as the LBC need to undertake in a posted meeting, or for, let's say, our next posted meeting, or do we need to have a meeting in a certain time frame in order to address something as it relates to this?
Right. So we should sometime maybe in our next meeting have one where we post that this is for public information about the MVP. We want to do the same thing with the Hudson Conservation Commission. Those are the two sort of town level meetings, although we'll also have public meetings that presumably the LBA will organize. But yeah, now that we're saying it, would be good in our next meeting to not just say an update, but to public and solicit input or whatever else we might do. Although we'll have other public meetings, but it would be good to do that.
Okay, and do you have a time frame by which that needs to be done?
All the timeframes are quarterly, so it needs to be done by the end of December.
Okay.
To me, it's sooner the better, because the goal of this is to inform people and not just sort of have a checklist.
Yep.
But, if we could do it in our next meeting, whenever that might be, as long as it's by the end of December, we can check off that checklist.
Okay.
Point of information, if I might. Could
Yep.
somebody help me and translate MVP?
Oh, sure, Dick. This is the Municipal Vulnerability Program.
Okay.
We submitted a proposal a few months ago that we call the Healthy Lake Boon Initiative.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have 2 years of funding, $154,000, to pay for, to conduct a comprehensive analysis of the health of the lake using a variety of metrics, with residents, citizen scientists going out and doing them accurately, a company that reviews them. And then from that, having a much better understanding of the health of our lake, so that when we say the best way to maintain, to deal with eutrophication or weeds or whatever issue we're dealing with, or in this case, climate change, potential warming, increased severity of storms, and so on and so forth, that we'll have a knowledge base and a model on which to make informed decisions.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you, Dana. That helped me kind of context with probably what we're going to get to when we talk to new business date of next meeting, because that has bearing. So I think we're done with the MVP update. We good there?
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, old business. The one thing that I had on old business was just an update. I think Conray and Dan, you're now aware of this, but we did finally get the trailer registration. So Maureen from the selectman's office in Stowe finally got to the thing. The motor vehicles finally got in municipal license plates, which apparently they were out of for a while. So we have the registration and we have 2 plates. So I've scanned that, and Dan, I'll send you a copy of that just for our general record. So we have a copy of the registration and the actual plate. And then Conray and I are just trying to figure out a point to transfer that. Conray, there are 2 plates, and obviously there's not a place on a trailer for 2 plates, but that's what they do. Do you want
two identical plates?
Yes. 2 identical plates. Just
Nice.
like on a car, they're going to give you a front and a back, and even though it's a trailer, apparently they do it anyway. So we have 2 plates. Do you want me to give you both plates and you keep? No, you want me to keep?
I'd like 1 plate and 1 copy of the registration.
Okay, so you're going to have the original registration, and I have a copy of it. And then I'll transfer 1 plate, and we'll just kind of keep the other one in a file somewhere.
So trailer plates get stolen, and we shouldn't have a problem with this one because it's pretty much always under our control, but it does happen, and I'll bolt them on, make it difficult to get them off. But yeah, that'd be really nice having that backup plate.
Okay, I will keep that in my file for the time being, and you will have the original on the registration and 1 plate.
Excellent.
Okay. And that was the only old business. Did Dan, either you or Conray have other old business we just want to?
Just to finish that one, Chris. So what I will do is I will put that registration in the glove box of the boat.
Okay.
So because, whenever that trailer's on the road, it should only be on the road when the boat's on it. So the registration will be in the boat in case anybody besides me is towing it around.
Right. Sounds good. Okay. All right, so we are on to new business. So for our next meeting, based on our kind of calendar of things, I think we are going to have to start talking about budget. Start at least thinking through what our budget submission would be. So I think that needs to be one thing. And then you want to make sure that, Dan, you want to make sure we have sort of a public meeting, a posted meeting as it relates to the activities for MVP.
Yep.
As a part, okay.
And the Hudson Town meeting is on the 16th of November.
Yep.
So it would be nice to maybe have us meet on the 17th or 18th to review the results of that, because that's going to be a budget impact too.
Right, especially if it doesn't pass.
Yeah.
We're in trouble. then we have a whole different problem.
That's easy to solve. The 3 of us resign, let someone else worry about it.
So yeah, I mean, given that the week of the 22nd is Thanksgiving week, I don't think that's probably a good opportunity. It sounds like we need to meet before the week of the 30th, because that starts to get us into December. So that kind of places us at the week of the 16th.
I have no constraints that week.
I only have the Hudson Town meeting, which I've got to be at that one because I'll have to defend this.
Yes, although Tom said he would defend it, so.
Yeah, it's never been a problem.
That's
And
what he said.
I already talked to FinCom about it, and it doesn't look like it's going to be an issue at all. You guys may or may not know, but because of COVID, a lot of town receipts are down. Meals tax and other taxes and, all those other things we never think about that the towns get revenue from.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's happening in Stowe, but in Hudson, we have a deficit. We have a problem, a revenue problem. And that's going to be a major issue on that town meeting on the 16th.
Yeah. All right, so like around the 18th
18th works for me.
Wednesday.
I'm trying to remember, we want to avoid other meetings, and I'm trying to see.
No, we don't have to worry about it unless we get conflicts of people.
I think we're okay on Wednesdays, Stan.
Okay, all right.
Usually once in a while, there's a planning board meeting. So I usually
All right.
take a look
Well,
just to
it works
see.
for me.
All right, so we will target the 18th and we'll finalize that via email.
7 p.m.
Yes,
And it's going to be a Zoom meeting.
yes, it will.
I like Zoom meetings.
All right, it's actually quite convenient and very effective, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
Especially now that we can hear you, Conray.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll go back to the other one. You don't need to hear me.
There you go. Actually, it was better when we couldn't. No, just
That's right. Absolutely true.
All righty. With that, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Everybody.
Dan?
Yep.
All righty.
Thank you, Chris. Thank
So
you.
we
Dave.
are adjourned at 7:57. And thank you all. And Stowe TV, I am going to stop recording now. And